Welcome to Pretty Lies and Alibis. Let's seek the truth and travel the long road to justice together. What you know, Alibiers? Hope you guys have had a great day. I'm Gigi. Welcome to another episode of Pretty Lies and Alibis, day 2 of jury selection in the Alex Murdaugh trial. I sat in the courtroom today. In fact, early this morning when he was brought in, I decided to go on the other side of where the media was, which means I'm in a lot of media pictures today because I'm like the one person that's not a cop standing there with my camera to get a shot. But there are a couple of people here who are yelling at him every time he gets out of the van. Well, his mom's dying. Like I read an article the other day. She's in really poor health. So I just said, I'm praying for your mom. And he turned and nodded and smiled, which is weird because we know what he's accused of. But it is a long day when you're covering a trial, guys. I forgot how long these days are. As soon as this is done, which I hope it works because of the Wi-Fi here is really bad. I'm going to have to get a solution to that when I come back down next week. But yeah, so let's jump into it. But first, music fact of the day. Who holds the Guinness Book of World Records for the oldest female solo artist to top the Billboard Top 100 chart in the USA? That would be Cher, and the song is Believe. Okay, so let's jump in because I don't know how long I'm going to have internet for. Day 2 of jury selection. Now, they didn't bring in all 900 that were summoned, and we are down to 122. Now, 80 of those tomorrow, they're supposed to be here at 11 a.m. 80 will randomly be selected for strike. Well, the defense, they have 10. The prosecution, they have 5. And ultimately, that will be 12 jurors, 6 alternates, and that will be it. We could have a jury by tomorrow. Now, people have asked me about openings. I don't know. We've heard as early as tomorrow afternoon, but honestly, I kind of think maybe get the jury set, everybody go home and get a good night's sleep and start fresh on Thursday. That's kind of my opinion. I'm not going to wager a bet on it, but I do think maybe Thursday will be openings. And so sitting in for jury selection, that was interesting. There are so many people who knew him or knew somebody who knew him or was a distant cousin of his. Somebody installed the HVAC unit at his law firm. Some longtime member of law enforcement knew him. And that was kind of interesting to watch because the potential juror, when they called his number, he said, "May I approach?" And the one thing that Alec did was turn around and look at every single juror in the eye, looked at them the entire time they were talking, made his own notes, talked with his defense team constantly. He's very involved. He's a lawyer. He's in lawyer mode. I guess that's kind of all he can do right now. But this guy, you see Dick Harpootlian kind of lean over to Alec and say, "Do you know this guy?" And he's like, "Yeah." Then also there's one girl who her husband's uncle, Steve Murdaugh, actually works at the law firm. Interestingly enough, she was kept. So we'll see. And then she had a couple of other connections, but one juror, his brother is an EMT that could be a witness. There are potentially going to be, get this, y'all, 255 witnesses called. Buster Murdaugh is also on that list. Now, it doesn't mean they'll call all of them. They're saying 2 to 3 weeks or so is what the judge said. Now, at Law and Crime, we've heard up to 8. I don't think it'll go that long. You don't have to call every witness, and it doesn't mean they'll all be put on the stand. But so after jury selection, back to jury selection, sorry. So what they'll do is they'll ask the jurors, have you watched anything about this case? Do you know about this case? Please stand up. And so pretty much every time everybody has stood up. When I was in there, maybe a dozen sat down, like didn't stand up. And then the judge will go through and ask, what have you heard? And people will say, oh, documentaries, podcasts, social media, talking with coworkers, that kind of thing. And then the judge will ask, what you know about the case, will that affect your ability to be impartial? Some were very honest and said yes. have you decided his guilt already? And people were like, yeah, sure have. Okay. And the judge was like, you're dismissed. So I do think tomorrow, though, we will have our jury. I was very surprised at how involved he was. Speaking of jury, the motions hearing that came after, so I'm sitting in with my producer, Elizabeth, and we are sitting in behind a lady. And when Alec come in the room, he just lit up when he saw her. And he mouthed to her, "How are you? Thanks for coming. I love you." Well, come to find out, it's his sister. And at one point, he was allowed to reach back and kind of hold her hand for a minute. He did it again at the end. And I just thought to myself about his sister. I always talk about the living victims of these cases. She lost a nephew, she lost a sister in law, she lost her father 3 days after she lost those two, and her mother is deathly ill right now. So I always feel bad for people like that. That's her brother. I mean, she clearly loves him, he loves her, but it has to be a burden that is so heavy. So, what was the motions hearing about? Well, we got a little somewhere with the ballistics. However, both sides agree that they are not going to address the blood spatter. If you listen to today's episode that I put out, it's really about that blood spatter on the shirt. But they agree they're just going to address that issue when it comes up at trial. And so that was kind of the ruling, and as far as the boat crash and the financial crimes, that will also be addressed later. Judge Newman said he doesn't know the facts of the case. He only knows what he's heard in that courtroom, and so that's another thing that will be ruled on later during the trial, which kinda worries me because if we're gonna stop the flow of the trial and kinda have these little mini trials, arguments back and forth, it could make this trial go a little bit longer. Also, there was a witness on the stand today, Paul Greer, who is a forensic firearms analyst from SLED, which is the state law enforcement division. That's our Bureau of Investigations, essentially, for the state. And there was a motion about ballistics and some blackout assault rifles. They kind of look like AR-15 style. Alec bought one for Paul. Now, one of those is unaccounted for, and one was found on the property. So the expert will be allowed to testify about shell casings found near Maggie's body and also shell casings found on other parts of the property. The witness didn't conclude the casings that were found near Maggie's body were fired by the rifle that was actually found at the Murdaugh home. However, they were cycled through that weapon at some point, which means loaded or unloaded. So, what does that prove? Well, it proves the gun and the cartridges were in possession of one or more of the Murdaughs before being fired, before the murders. So, essentially, they know the gun that was used to murder Maggie. They just don't know where it is. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Now, the defense doesn't think that there's been enough scientific um, work done on tool mark forensics, essentially. And they just say that tool mark analysis isn't scientifically valid. And so, of course, the state disagreed. Judge Newman also said the state's motion to bring the financial crimes in limine is not how it's done. So, a motion in limine is used to exclude evidence before a trial, not to include it. And the state wants to get all this out of the way to keep the flow of the trial going. But just some things are going to be ruled on as it approaches during the trial that this is coming up soon. So, how many witnesses? Potentially 255. I have that list. I will put it out. Buster Murdaugh is on that list. A lot of people are on that list. Doesn't mean they'll all be called, but 255 witnesses. So, if we do all 255 witnesses, we might be here for 8 weeks, but I doubt it. They don't have to call every single person on that witness list. So, It's been interesting. The atmosphere here, I'll tell you, the locals are amazing. I'm from the South. I feel like I'm around my people. The media people are great. It was so nice to meet Shanley Painter today. We were talking about how we follow each other on Twitter and we feel like we know each other, but we don't, but now we do. I met Will Forks from Fitz News, such a nice guy, such a great, great guy. And they have been the leader in breaking news and having the scoop, all the scoop about this trial. And I don't know of one time they've been wrong. I have a lot of respect for Will. Mandy Matney done an amazing job with Fitz News before she left to do her own thing. And so here we are. I A lot of people have asked me, when do I think openings will be? The jury's coming in at 11 tomorrow. That's midday almost, right before lunch break. And so if I had to wager a bet, I would say maybe the jury gets picked and then everybody goes home and gets a good night's sleep and we come back fresh Thursday morning bright and early and get this show on the road. I think openings are going to take a little while. I'm very excited to sit in on openings. I think that what you're going to see is the prosecution's going to kind of sum things up really quickly about what to expect as far as what they have. And remember, we don't know all the evidence they have. I've heard some rumors down here of things they may have. We'll see if that comes to pass. Now, tomorrow from 12 to 1 on Law and Crime Network, I'm going to do a 1-hour question and answer with Anjanette Levy, who's coming next week, and I'm so excited to hang out with her and a couple of other amazing ladies. It's going to be an all-girls panel, I think, and so for an hour, we're going to take viewer questions. We're just going to chew the fat and have fun, y'all. So join us. Join us if you can. Tape it if you can't. Be there right then. But I'm having a great time. I forgot how fun it is to be in a courtroom again. It's been probably 7 years. I think Colorado theater shooter trial was the last one, or maybe even Jodi Arias. I'm not sure. But there is an energy in the air and it screams for justice. And watching the judicial process play out in front of you is something that you all should do if you can. Find a local trial, just go sit in and see how it's done. It's fascinating. And so we will see what happens. I do expect the jury to be in place tomorrow. And so, yeah, that's kind of it, guys. It really just it was a crazy day and they're all crazy. It's just we're running here, running there to do 12 o'clock live and then running in to go catch the testimony of the ballistics expert and watch the jury selection. That's very interesting. They ask, what do you do for a living? What does your spouse do for a living? Is there a hardship that would prevent you? And sometimes people would say, yeah, I have a new job coming up. The judge is like, it's not an excuse, but he has been very fair. It seems if you take care of people who are elderly, you have children 7 and under. If your kid's 7.5 or 8, doesn't excuse you. But it's interesting. I stopped at a gas station before I came back to the hotel and I still had my law and crime badge on. And she said, oh, you're in town for the trial. And I said, yeah. And she said, he'll get off. There's too many people in this town who still think he's great. And so it's been interesting to hear the locals just in random places, the same thing. Cause I stopped at a gas station. Then I went to Walmart because Target's 40 minutes away. I had to get a few things for the room here. And again, people were giving me their opinion about what they thought. One person said, "Oh, he should get off. I don't think he did it." So you have a lot of people here who are very back and forth about whether or not he actually did it. So it's going to be an interesting rest of the week. I'll go home Friday. I will go home and get a jetpack of what do you call it, of internet. Right now I'm actually on my hotspot on my phone, which is better than the hotel Wi-Fi, but I'm going to be here 5 days a week until verdict, and I'm going to be in that courtroom when verdict's read. Can't wait to bring it to you every single day. Today was just last part of jury selection. And so, yeah, I was surprised that neither side wanted this trial moved out of this county. And that kind of blew my mind. I don't know how I didn't know that until today, but so they brought in a few hundred as opposed to the 900. And I guess they just figured out we can get our 12 with 6 alternates from the group. So tomorrow will be the ATEM, ATEM. I need to eat. The 80 randomly selected for strike. Defense has 10, prosecution has 5. I do not think that will be televised. It will probably be audio only. And then once those openings come, you guys get to watch. You guys get to sit there. And my mom today, when they were doing the motions hearing, I left, you can't take your phone or your computer in. So I leave it, and when I came back, she had videos of me. She's like, "Look, there you are right behind him." So they're enjoying watching that. And you guys have been amazing with your comments. I have to say, Law and Crime Network is amazing. Their staff is loving and supportive, and don't hesitate to say, "This is kind of how I think that would work better." And I listen to them because they know what they're doing and they're right. And Elizabeth and Josh have just taught me so much in 2 days, and I'm very grateful. I love doing this. It's very fun, but I love my podcast, and so it's gonna be fun in the future to do this every now and then. I really hope they send me up for some Lori and Chad so I can bring that to you. But in the meantime, you girls having a blast. I'm saying hi for all of you alibuyers to our favorites that I'm seeing out here. I see Brian Enton all over the place. I haven't actually got to speak with him. He was eating barbecue on camera with one of the food truck owners, I believe. So, yeah, but we're going to have a few weeks. But yeah, I've just met some great people. Media people are awesome. They are all just super supportive and nice. And the atmosphere here, while there's a tinge of sadness with why we're here, there is also an atmosphere of kind of just like high school almost. Just, these are our classmates for a few weeks. But yeah, media people rock. And I'm super grateful for Law and Crime of giving me this opportunity. It has been a big learning experience that I hope carries on. But anyways, guys, I'm gonna go get in the bed because I am so tired. You guys just don't even know how tired I am right now. But listen, also I have a couple of people to thank for the donations. And I'm trying to keep up on my messages, but we've been so crazy busy that I haven't checked messages since I got down here. But a big thank you to Suzanne and Lynn both for the Venmos. I really appreciate that. That was very kind of you, and it helps support me to do what I love. All right, guys, you guys have a great evening. Share the podcast when the openings and testimony start. Same thing, guys. Nothing changes for us. I'm back here every night giving you that hour-long rundown of the best of testimony and then an insider view of what's happening in that courtroom. Can't wait. Can't wait to do that for you guys. Share it with your friends. Let's grow this channel and let's get people the truth. No spin, right? All right. You guys have a good evening. We'll see you soon.